Hey, greetings everybody, and welcome back to Giving Gap TV. I'm Tina Brown, VP of Marketing and Communications with Giving Gap, and today we are kicking off our Audacious campaign, which is a series in which we're talking to powerful women leaders in their communities that are doing bold and daring and unconventional things. And today we have none other than Chelsea VonChaz, who is the founder and CEO of #HappyPeriod. Welcome, Chelsea.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I want to just start off so folks understand your organization and its mission. So can you just share a bit about your journey and what inspired you to sort of go down this particular niche and expertise in this area?
Sure. So Happy Period is an organization that has just celebrated 10 years of service. I always pause there because I'm like, wow, yeah.
In 10 years is significant.
Yeah, it's serious. It kind of unbelievable. Time flies when you're having fun and talking about periods. But yeah, we just celebrated our 10th anniversary of being a charity. We are the first African-American led menstrual movement. We advocate for folks to have better relationships with their period through storytelling and education. Oh my goodness. Honestly, like the journey to this organization had to have started from my first period when I was 10, because I had such a safe space in my family, from my mother to my two grandmothers, to my aunties, to my cousins. Everybody talked about the period like it was nothing, like talking about getting your hair done. So I think that's definitely where my journey began, from just having this, just such this education from so many different perspectives, and just being able to experience my period a little differently. So fast forward to 2015, I was still in wardrobe. My background is fashion styling. I was working on Insecure, the TV show, doing wardrobe, and I literally was headed to one gig to the next gig to like do a return, and I saw a sister who was houseless, and she had a period stain on the back of her butt. And that really was the light bulb kind of went off, receiving just the message, because I immediately felt emotional for her. And when I say emotional, I mean, I was mad, because we have I live in Los Angeles. This was in Los Angeles. This was in a very predominantly busy area in Los Angeles. It was broad daylight. And we're so used to seeing folks who are homeless, folks who are houseless, just, walking around, and we, sort of blame them in a way, and we begin to ignore them. But just that day, it was just such a different experience for me, because I saw someone who looked like me. I saw another woman, and she had a period stain on the back of her butt. And I know what that feels like, from being 11 or 12 or 20, and you mess up your clothes in public, and it's like your whole day is ruined. Okay. However, it's we don't really think about what the experience is like for someone who is on the streets, is living on the streets, someone who is, displaced, someone who may not have the means to go and change their clothes, to change into a pad. So that is where the anger kind of came from, because it's wow, what do you do? And I needed answers, and I just decided to create a solution. Because I just saw the problem so clearly. So creating a solution was just the right thing to do. And 10 years later, here we are.
Here we are. This is so powerful, Chelsea, because you hit on so many things. You talked about starting your cycle at 10 years old, and sort of this very welcoming environment you were in, where the women in your family, it sounds like, were very comfortable, right? This is a very comfortable way of talking about it. And you don't hear that from everybody, right? I know, right? There's at times it's very taboo, even among women, not even getting to and their reaction, but even among women, it's this very swept under the rug. So I love the fact that you had such a healthy environment, and to sort of celebrate that next stage in your journey. And then I think it's just powerful at the fact that you had such a passionate response of seeing this woman unhoused and what she was going through. And we all know that feeling, like you said, the stain of clothing, but we've got the resources and the ability to go and get ourselves together. Whereas this woman, so the fact that that sort of was like the onset of like something has to be done, I think is incredible. But with that said, I know this journey has not come without its challenges. So can you talk to us about some of the defining moments in this journey with #HappyPeriod, and then maybe what some of the challenges were and or barriers that you've overcome?
Oh my goodness. Like, first off, the name. The name of the organization is so triggering for people. And honestly, I want to thank everybody out there, because that's how I knew, like, oh yeah, this is the name. This is, we're gonna stick by this. This is gonna be bigger than Google, honey. Okay, because the name of it is so triggering, because there's such this emotional response that we have with our period. And when we're thinking about having a period, we think about being inconvenienced, we think about being shamed, and we think about our own experiences of being shamed, of hiding, being silenced, and also being in pain, feeling unworthy or less than, less valuable, a lot of negatives. And we don't associate, we rarely do associate like our period with an emotion outside of just like sadness or anger or moody, all valid emotions. But happy period, folks, the first thing people say is, well, that doesn't exist. And I'm like, yes, it does. It's an organization. It's my organization. It does exist. And that's what it's about. So definitely the name of the name of the organization right off the bat is the first challenge for people. And I think I also love it too, because people, some people laugh at it, it brings a different emotion outside of the person. It makes them think, and and it's like, damn, what, have I ever had a happy period? I don't think so, so that's the point of it, right? So we knew that challenge was risky, but so worth it to this day. And yeah, I think a lot of our challenges stem from just being within the space, from this political climate that we're in today in 2025, to even 10 years ago, where folks were still kind of like figuring out how do we advance women's health? What's the state of the uterus? What's the state of women's health? We still have all of these issues. We still do not know how our bodies work. We still have so many problems and not enough solutions. So yeah, just from having simple conversations with parents, advocating for parents to talk to their kids, talk to their boys and their girls about periods, so they can bring out a different generation, to shift the narrative, to change the narrative, because the goal of Happy Period now today is cultural change. Like, that's the ultimate goal. We want to create cultural change through storytelling, through education, and that's a really big deal within our community and for folks that we serve. So yeah, it's like all of those risks, all the challenges, it's kind of a little bit of the same thing, and these are also challenges that are not new for me. And, people that came before me, other advocates that came before me, still had challenges with changing the language, getting people to talk about periods. So it's definitely an old issue, an old problem, but, we're up for the challenge, of course.
You absolutely are. You're 10 years strong, which is incredible. And you mentioned solutions. So I want to dig into how your organization specifically is providing solutions.
Yeah.
Whether webinars, events, tell us what you're actually doing to affect change in this area.
Yeah, so our priority program right now is called Flow. Flow is our way of introducing menstrual care methods to young people. It's our way of going into spaces, whether it's schools, elementary, middle school, high schools, colleges, community centers, and actually introducing ways in how folks can, one, talk about periods, learn about periods, learn about their own body through body literacy, which is knowing, understanding your body and how it works, including your menstrual cycle. And also giving them ways in how they can manage their own period themselves. And, because self-esteem and self-efficacy is so important within our community. So it's definitely the blood, pun intended, it's the blood of the body of what we do as an organization, because that's what we want to, empower for the folks that we're serving. So yeah, we are also providing a service to institutions. We're providing a service to educators, because we understand, like, not in America, not every state has a mandatory comprehensive reproductive health program, where we are, folks are making sure that kids know about the menstrual cycle, beyond just sex or sex ed. A lot of sex ed programs or curriculums don't even mention pads or tampons. You know what I mean? So yeah, we definitely go there. Every single participant of our organization, or excuse me, of our program, receives free period products. So we are still providing safe period products to folks. We're also providing the education to people so they understand that they have options. Something that I discovered later on, like with my community, especially with Black women and Black girls, is that we're introduced to pads as like the one and done menstrual care product of choice. And once we're introduced to pads, we die using pads. Just pads. Now, and I'm not shaming or knocking pads. It's just that I found that a lot of us do not know that we have other options that are okay for us to use, beyond tampons even. So we are all about providing all of the options and giving folks, the necessary tools in order for them to make their own informed decision, whether it's about what kind of soap you're using, what kind of, period product you're using, whether it's period panties, menstrual cup, or a tampon, understanding, why these options exist, that you have disposable options, you have reusable options, making sure that the products are safe, understanding that there are products that are deemed safe and some that are deemed not so safe and maybe even toxic for you. So yeah, it's just super important for us to give folks, all the things and let them do their thing, because of, it is their body. So that's super important.
Fantastic. So you mentioned impact. Can you tell me, Chelsea, some of the impact that you're making, if you have testimonials, or what's some of the feedback you've gotten?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's my favorite part, which is essentially to hear parents, because a lot of the programming that we do, we include the parents. If the parents want to come and show up and be present, that's amazing. The parents also sometimes get hooked up too with period products.
Right.
And the same thing with like educators, teachers, principals. We've had even like some principals kind of sit down and I love to hear from them, because my favorite thing to hear, which I do hear often, that's how I know, like, all right, we're doing a good job, is when I hear them say, I wish I had this when I was a kid. I wish I had this when I got my period when I was 9, when I was 12, or I just wish somebody would have told me X, Y, and Z. I learned how to use a tampon from a movie. Somebody else had to teach me how to do X, Y, and Z, so that means the most to me personally. And also like from a lot of the preteens and teens, that we serve, when they say, yeah, I was confused about X, but now I know it's really Z. So cool. Or I'm a little bit more comfortable talking about my period. I feel a little bit more confident about it, because, it's folks, are walking around, no matter what age they are, folks with a period, they're walking around not knowing exactly what's going on with their body, and the period is almost still treated like it's a mystery, so yeah, the testimonials are amazing. We've done a lot of different programming within Los Angeles County with the Flow program, so that's pretty cool, from the public library to to charter schools within different parts of California, where we've piloted the program through a few charter schools, which is really cool. And yeah, like Happy Period as a whole, like we've done a lot of volunteer work over the past 10 years, where we've like created volunteer hubs and volunteer events in over almost 30 different cities across the country. We introduced the Flow program in Los Angeles, and also then introduced it in Compton, California, which is really cool. Yeah, like 3.5 over 3 million period products, like from our from our first day as an organization that we've distributed to folks in need. So yeah, we're just getting started. Nothing too
Yeah, you
shabby.
really are. And this is really powerful and so amazing. And I'm sure just the confidence when a young lady says to you, I'm more confident talking about my body. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that's very, very powerful. So Chelsea, with that, I'm going to pivot just slightly. You've got 10 years in this game. So I want to hear from you, what advice would you give to the next generation of Black women leaders?
Oh, yeah, I love that. I mean, yeah, the first thing I think about, like when I hear questions like that, I think about like my moment, like what did it for me besides seeing, someone in need and seeing the issue. You really have to like ask yourself like, some questions. And like the first question that I would say to ask yourself is like seriously consider, like, can I be passionate about this issue, this person, or this problem for a really long time? Does this keep me up at night? Do you wake up thinking about it? Is it just like a little fire under you that's like, oh, I can't wait to like fix this?
Yeah.
And you really have to feel that. It can't just be like, oh, I just want to give, or I just want to help. And I think that's totally fine. That's okay. I think that can be more so like for like a volunteer level, for someone who may just be, passionate about doing something. But if you're passionate about doing something and then the issue just creates an emotion out of you to where you can't sleep, it's the first thing you think of, and you're like, this has been digging in me for days, weeks, months. Those are the type of things that you want to consider as far as like what does it do for you? What does it bring out of you? Yeah, and never take no for an answer, especially when it comes to pay. I definitely want to encourage all my female leaders, Black female leaders specifically, to always understand that the nonprofit work does not reflect your bank account. You are not a nonprofit human. You are not a nonprofit CEO or executive director. Your business is, but hey, it's still a business. I think folks really have to understand, like, it's not volunteer work as far as you being of service. You deserve to get paid. You deserve to get paid, especially if you are creative. These are your ideas. These are your solutions. You deserve to get paid. I see a lot of women in general just kind of being okay with not making money through their advocacy work. And I reject that completely. So I definitely want folks to understand, being a leader of, a social program or a social enterprise, or advocacy group, a community organization, does not mean that you don't deserve to make money. So you definitely have to be about your capital, your funding, and understand that you deserve to still make as much paper as you desire, and don't let anybody tell you no when it comes to what you receive.
Fantastic advice. And yes, honey, we see a lot of women almost apologizing for making money, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, cut the check, right?
Yeah, please.
Cut the check.
Cut all of it. Don't cut it in half. Cut all of it. Especially, yeah.
Yeah, so love that advice, Chelsea. Just for a moment of reflection, when you go back and think of your journey and the young version of Chelsea, what's some advice you would have given your younger self? And then maybe tell me some folks that have been really inspirational and instrumental to you that maybe you look up to in terms of your sheroes as you've been on this journey.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's Well, obviously, like first off, the folks within my own family, like the women in my space, from all my aunties, all my great aunties, great grandparents. I grew up with a great grandparent or two
Wow.
for a little while, and yeah, like all the women in my family, like they all inspire me. I think in their own way of like how they live their lives as entrepreneurs as well, you know, or businesswomen, as mothers, and everything in between. Like they're super inspiring. When I think about like folks outside of this space, man, I kind of remember like there's a couple of folks who are kind of within the same lane of what I do. But I'm trying to remember everybody's name. I'm having like a little bit of a brain fart because there's so many pioneers who fought
Okay.
for
Yeah.
folks within the space of not just business, but like for periods.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm thinking about the Black woman who created the first pad with the padded belt, the sanitary napkin, where they just call them sanitary napkins back then with the padded belt, Mary Beatrice Kenner Davidson. Like that is so pioneering, like to this day.
Yeah.
I'm always talking about how we have so many Black female inventors, innovators that we're still learning about, you know what I mean? And who have done so much for how we manage our lives today. So yeah, I think about her all the time. Every time I go to the bathroom, honestly, because it's like every time you have a period, you think about like, wow, how did women back then, you know, manage their periods?
Man.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And we have this person who created a solution for folks back then, and it, you know, and it still reflects, you know, us today. So that's pretty cool. Why am I having a brain fart? Who am I thinking of? There's this amazing Black woman who was a founder, but also a doctor, and worked within the government space for like almost 40 years. And she was under the Bill Clinton administration. Gonna make me look at my phone. Excuse you guys, because I'm like, wait, there's someone, I'm having a brain fart, but there's literally one person where I discovered them a few years ago, and I was like, wow, this is so monumental, because I'm always discovering folks, and I'm like, nobody teaches us this in history class.
It's
We
true.
don't know. Yeah, like we don't know about so many people. Oh my goodness. Here we go.
Okay.
Dr. M. Joycelyn Elders,
Okay.
former U.S. Surgeon General, was the first Black person, and second woman to hold that role. First Black woman to be the director of the Arkansas Department of Health.
Wow.
So her jam was comprehensive sex education. She's also the reason why we have free condoms and a lot of government programming where we receive free condoms, whether it's like in schools or certain clinics, free pregnancy tests in clinics. Oh my goodness, yes. And she is still alive, Dr. M. Joycelyn Elders. Yeah, like I'm still learning even like about her lobbying and for legislation, mandating K through 12 curriculum that included sex education and substance abuse prevention. Yeah, I want to say like the main thing that stands out to me for her is the fact that she helped reduce the teen pregnancy rate by
Wow.
like 30% in a couple of states, which is crazy. And if anybody wants to Google, do a little bit more research in Google, but if you go on YouTube, you could find a couple of her videos where she's talking about masturbation and how she really believed that within sex education, you should include information about masturbation. And she was saying, you know, masturbation never got anybody pregnant.
Amen to that.
And you know, and it's not anything that folks should be ashamed about or silenced for. It's nothing to do with God. It's like God give you a body, and you know, like he doesn't, you know, have to give you permission to love your own body. And in the 90s though, that was, I'm sure that was so revolutionary in the 90s,
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? But even today, with our rights and certain things being programs for sex ed being rolled back, or you know what I mean, just kind of going in, being reversed essentially. I think it's just super important to kind of like pick up where she left off, like it's very audacious what she did, and also like what we're doing, you know what I mean? Like
It is.
I kind of feel, I feel like I feel what she felt a little bit, because even today folks are really concerned about periods being on TV, vaginas, or just the biology of, talking about certain biological terms, vagina, vulva, clitoris. Like, these are bad words. And I'm like, y'all, these are literally medical terms.
It's literally human anatomy. Yeah.
Yes,
It's
human
literally
anatomy.
human anatomy. And
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, I definitely have to give it to these Black women that came before me, that are, that have been doing the work for so long and such a time. Like, yeah, they have definitely made my journey a little easier, for sure.
For sure. Powerful, powerful. And this is the type of women's history folks need to know, right? I hope people
Yeah.
take it upon themselves to research deeper and dive into this. I'm going to bring us to a close, but before that, Chelsea, I want you first of all to tell us all the upcoming goodies. Give us the tea on everything. Hashtag happy period. What you all are doing, events, campaigns. How can we get them?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I love spilling tea, but I don't have any to spill. I really don't.
What do you guys do
But
for your
yeah, like
anniversary?
it's really cool. Well, we did just wrap up. We did just wrap up our period care drive that we had for LA wildfire victims, survivors.
Oh, wonderful.
And that was, I think extremely impactful, providing a lot of services to folks who were impacted, especially folks in Altadena, Pasadena, and also the Palisades. There's a couple of teens that are in the Pacific Palisades who were impacted that we have partnered with. So that was really, really cool to see young people, come out of this tragedy and start advocating for each other and volunteering their services to help each other. So that was pretty awesome. So we just wrapped that up. We're still celebrating our 10 years, and yeah, we're really pushing to have our programming throughout LA County. So we just reconnected with LA County Board of Supervisors, Holly Mitchell. We'll be talking to her really soon about how we can partner to bring our programming to more schools. Like, one of our big goals with the Flow program is to have to work with institutions to make sure that they're providing like safe period products to their students for free. To make sure that, no student, has to go to just the nurse's station to get a pad or a tampon. We want the pad and the tampons to be in the restrooms, where they need to be in the first place. So yeah, those are the types of conversations that we're having, like with with the county, on top of like our curriculum. We want to be able to have our curriculum, whether it's like licensed within the county, to make sure that we can have this across like a couple of school districts. That's a huge goal for us, you know what I mean? Especially if we're going to be providing free pads and tampons, we have to make sure the students know how to use those pads and tampons. Amen. So yeah, that's really cool. That's definitely something that I can share. And yeah, and if there's anyone out there who's really interested in connecting with us, you could find us on #happyperiod.org. We do have a sign up sheet listed through our newsletter for folks who are interested in bringing our program to their kids' school. If you are an educator and you're interested in having our programming at your school, and you're in California, we would love to have the conversation. Even if you're not in California, like we do have big goals to bridge our program in other spaces. yeah, and of course, like find us on social media. We do a lot of educational content through our social media and also through our newsletter. So make sure you subscribe to that. You can find us at #happyperiod.org. We are Happy Period on all of our social platforms, minus X. We don't do X over here. We do not. But we're on Threads, though. We're on Threads. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and even TikTok, the Clock app. So
fantastic. And finally, Chelsea, please tell me in your own words, what does audacious mean to you?
oh, everything. I'm like everything. Yeah, it means, yeah, to me, it truly means to be extremely original, like no matter what. Yeah, and just being bold about it too, like really walking in your originality, walking in just walking in your boldness, without any gaslighting, without any hate, or anyone trying to convince you otherwise. You're just like, no, I'm good here. I don't need to change my name. I don't need to adapt. I don't need to conform. I don't need to assimilate, or appropriate, or be or sometimes even being like politically correct. You know what I mean? I think like, being audacious, even like when we're talking about periods, like, saying like I have a period, but I'm not gonna, follow the narrative of that. Just because I have a period, that means that I'm less than, that means that I'm dirty, that means that I should be shamed. Like, no, we're not gonna follow any of that. So yeah, I think that means to be extremely original and bold. And that's very positive. I think that's a positive thing to be.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for your time and attention today.
Thank you.
For being part of this campaign. And we thank you for being an audacious woman.
Thank you so much. Thank my grandmothers, because they laid the blueprint out for sure. I thank them. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.